set that people can come, whether international or domestic, local, Indigenous, French, whatever the case is. But I think that part of it's interesting he brings up the issues he does, because this bill doesn't seem to address the very things that he suggested it does. There's ambiguity in what this bill attempts to address. And so therefore, how can a producer, how can a content...
The honourable member will have 3 minutes for questions following question period. It's now time for statements by members. The honourable member for Pierrefonds-Dollard.
Madam Speaker, the pandemic has hit families within my riding of Pierrefonds-Dollard, and especially those that come from families with children of disabilities, especially hard. Amelia is a 4-year-old girl in my riding. She has an extremely rare genetic condition. Amelia can't walk, she can't sit, she can't even see. Amelia's condition causes her severe seizures daily. Amelia is fully dependent upon her family for all of her activities for her daily living. Amelia's family actually needs accommodations in order so that she can live a fulsome life. As COVID-19 hit, those accommodations to their home through the form of reparations skyrocketed. The cost skyrocketed. Elsewhere in my riding, I've also heard of a dad who was taking care of his autistic son. Those supports that he needed to access have been strained and have not been as readily available. I want to take this moment to share their stories to all members in the House and to all Canadians. We hear you and we support you. Thank you.
And the honourable member for Stevenson-Richmond.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As a former immigrant, I rise today to represent millions of immigrants who have followed the rules and regulations to become Canadians. Newcomers are proud of completing the criminal record checks, proud of proving their education and skills, and proud of acquiring jobs which benefit our new home here. Because of the joy of becoming Canadians and the pride in our contribution to this country, we are heartbroken that such a glaring loophole exists to allow exploitation in getting Canadian citizenship. This loophole is exploited by overseas businesses, profiting by arranging for birth-giving vacation-like packages that cheapens our citizenship and the hard work of those who obtained it the right way. Sadly, this problem is prevalent across Canada, jumping 13% just in 1 year. So far, our government has taken no action to see it hindered. To be a Canadian citizen is a sacred trust, a commitment to a set of democratic norms and ideals that binds us to our history and the promise of our future. I call upon the government to protect that very trust.
The honourable member for Scarborough-Rouge Park.
Madam Speaker, on this Human Rights Day, I want to honour the human rights defenders who put their lives at risk to advance ours. These heroes led the movement denouncing systemic racism and police brutality against Indigenous peoples, Black and racialized Canadians. They reminded us that Black lives matter. They demanded accountability for victims of sexual assault and gender-based violence. And they continue to call on their fellow Canadians to protect the world's most vulnerable, including children, refugees, members of the LGBTQI communities, religious minorities, and those marred by war. Our government has heard these voices loud and clear, Madam Speaker. Last month, we convened the first federal, provincial, territorial meeting on human rights, our second one since taking office in 2015. Last week, we introduced landmark legislation to implement the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. This legislation was inspired by so many Indigenous peoples and is built on the work of Romeo Sagnash in the last Parliament. In the year of COVID, let us recommit to achieving human rights for all, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Beauport, Côte-de-Beaupré, Île-d'Orléans, Charlevoix. Madam Speaker, Quebec is shining in its official language. Today, I am the voice of all of Quebec who is proud of its people. Dominique Fortier is originally from the National Capital Region in Quebec, and more specifically from Cap-Rouge. And for the first time in the essay category, this Quebec author won one of the most prestigious literary prizes of the French-speaking world, the Renaudot Prize. And also, her book, Cities of Papers, follows the imaginary life of American poet Emily Dickinson. And also from Charlevoix, Le Pouvoir des mots is essential to the survival of Quebec people. And Émilie Bernier is an important vector for Quebec. She won a prize for her reportage, The Slaughter of Wolves, in addition to 5 other prizes at the Hebdo Gala. And also the Hebdo Le Charlevoisien, the local paper, won great honors for its content enhancement and the quality of our language. The Honourable Member for Hochelaga. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We've had quite a year, and the people of Hochelaga have shown exceptional resiliency throughout 2020. And at this holiday period, I would like to encourage you all to give to others, either by giving to food banks or of your time and volunteering, by gifts from our small businesses locally, and thank all those who work in our healthcare system in essential services on the front lines of the crisis. Protect your loved ones and continue to follow public health regulations. I'd like to thank all the community organizations that are redoubling their efforts to help those who are most vulnerable during the holiday period. I'm thinking about the Community Centre of Hochelaga, Bouffection from Rosemont, the Harmony Project, and Hochelaga Maisonneuve Quartier. I wish you all a happy holiday period. Rest well, and we'll start 2020 in good form. Thank you.
Wellington, Halton Hills.
Madam Speaker, 2021 marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the Georgetown chapter of the Canadian Federation of University Women in Wellington, Halton Hills. In the summer of 1971, a group of friends gathered with the idea of promoting public education, human rights, and civic engagement. They became the Georgetown chapter of the CFUW, a self-funded, non-partisan organization with over 8,000 members in 100 chapters across Canada. Over the past 50 years, the Georgetown chapter has raised thousands of dollars for local youth scholarships, hosted election debates, run children's programming, and supported numerous community causes. Congratulations to the Georgetown chapter of the Canadian Federation of University Women on this bicentennial. Thank you for your contribution over so many decades to our community.
The Honourable Member for Milton.
It's a tie, Madam Speaker. This week, the Lou Marsh, the award for Canada's top athlete, went to 2 great Canadian footballers, Edmonton's Alphonso Davies and Montreal's Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. Alphonso Davies was born in a refugee camp in Ghana after his parents fled the civil war in Liberia. When he was 5, they settled in Edmonton and became Canadian citizens. And at just 19 years old, number 19 became a Champions League winner with Bayern Munich. Alphonso always plays with a huge smile on his face and represents a bright future for Canada's men's soccer team. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif is an offensive guard with the 54th Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. He played for McGill University, where he earned his medical degree before being drafted to the NFL in the 6th round. He was featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he decided to skip the 2020 football season to fight the coronavirus outbreak on the front lines at a long-term care facility in Quebec. Deux athlètes canadiens vrais.
2 very inspiring Canadian athletes. I would ask everyone in this House today to join me in congratulating the winners of the Le Marche Prize for 2020, Alphonso Davies and Laurent Tardif.
The Honourable Member for York Centre.
Mr. Speaker, tonight at sundown marks the first night of Hanukkah. In my riding of York Centre and communities across Canada and around the world, millions of Jewish families will light the Chanukiah and celebrate the festival of lights with their loved ones. Though this year we cannot gather with family, friends, and our neighbors, the story of Hanukkah, of perseverance and resilience, of hope and triumph against oppression, is a timeless reminder of the spirit that guides us through our challenges today. Each night of Hanukkah, we add another candle, increasing the light surrounding our homes and our families. This tradition shines brightly and reflects the vibrancy of the Jewish community. It's also a symbol of the power of one's convictions in the face of adversity. That spark of inspiration, the light that travels from candle to candle, person to person, household to household, and to all of our communities. It is the light that drives out the darkness. This is the strength that is Canada in its diversity and its inclusion. With the Festival of Lights beginning, on behalf of all my constituents, I'd like to wish all members of this House and all Canadians a happy and healthy holiday season. Chag Urim Sameach, happy Hanukkah.
Honourable Member for Prince Albert.
Mr. Speaker, I was very saddened when told that Fred Sisakmus passed away from COVID-19 complications in late November. Freddie was the NHL's first Indigenous player with treaty status. He made his official debut in 1954 with the Chicago Blackhawks. On Hockey Night in Canada, he taught Foster Hewitt how to pronounce his last name. Saskatchewan played against greats such as Gordie Howe, Jean Beliveau, Maurice Richard. But after 12 games, he realized his heart was not in the NHL, but back at Sandy Lake. Fred's story was far from over following NHL days. He played another decade in Western Canada. He became a band counselor, served as chief, and established athletic programs for kids. As a child, Freddie would play hockey and skated in my hometown of Canwood. And in his later life, he played recreational hockey in Canwood. I can still remember watching Freddie skate down the ice, cross the center line, top of the circles, let go that famous snapshot, and just say to myself, thank God I'm not the goalie. Mr. Speaker, to Neil and the entire Saskatchewan family, I pass on my condolences. Freddie was a great man. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
The honourable member for Mississauga East, Cooksville.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is Human Rights Day. I'm proud to say that as part of our subcommittee on international human rights, we as Canadians have stood together to listen to heart-wrenching testimonies from witnesses across the globe. This year has been rightly themed Recover Better, Stand Up for Human Rights. Yes, Mr. Speaker, 2020 has forever changed our conversation globally around human rights. Today's an opportunity to reaffirm the importance of human rights in rebuilding the world we want, the need for global solidarity, as well as our interconnectedness and shared humanity. Protecting and defending human rights is a shared duty. I sincerely encourage all Canadians to reflect on how we can all do much more to advance human rights in our day-to-day life, at our homes, schools, workplaces, social media, and local communities. Together, we can definitely build a more equal, safer, and fairer world for generations to come. Let's all stand up for human rights. Thank you. Merci.
The honourable member for Richmond-Arthabasca. Mr. Speaker, after being in remission for 6 years, a 16-year-old man from my riding, Romain Giguère, has learned that his leukemia has come back and has just started a new fight against this damn disease. Romain is not alone in this ordeal. A huge movement of solidarity has swept through Le Boisé and Le Tandem High School, where I taught and was a principal before I became involved in politics. This wave of support and generosity has now spread throughout my region. The movement, Romain's Fight movement, will lead myself and others to shave my hair for the cause on December 14th. Thanks to the great generosity of the people and the organization Solidarité Jeunesse, the money raised will be used to help Romain and the organization. I invite all those to support this cause. From the hospital, Romain will be able to watch us by video, and he will see people who believe in him, who support him, who are proud of him, and who salute his courage. Romain, a whole region is behind you. Don't give up.
The honourable member for Edmonton Manning.
Mr. Speaker, 3 years ago, a family in my riding saw their daughter for the last time. Nadia Atwi told her parents, "Bye, Mom, see you tomorrow." That tomorrow never happened. Nadia has now been missing all this time, and her family is looking for any answers or clues for her whereabouts. I want to take this time to praise Nadia's family and community for their courageous efforts to locate her and working so hard to bring her home. I ask that everyone to do their best so that we can bring her home safe and sound. Every mother wants the best for their daughters, and they deserve that. We need to continue to advocate for initiatives to keep young women safe from those who wish them harm. Nadia, if you see this message, we are not giving up on you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Algoma, Manitoulin, Kapuskasing.
Mr. Speaker, statistics show that opioid-related deaths in many regions in northern Ontario are much higher than those in large cities in the south. The idea that drugs are more of an urban issue is false. Even small towns like Hearst and the First Nations have been affected by the opioid crisis.
Toxic, unregulated supply of street drugs, individuals can't be certain of the safety of any processed drug in circulation. The pandemic has added barriers to access harm reduction services and treatment, while physical distancing recommendations mean more people are taking drugs alone and dying in isolation. As communities struggle to deal with opioids, it is imperative we do all we can to support those efforts. While drug addiction is a health problem, the flow of illegal opioids is an international criminal exercise that must be tackled headlong. Until progress is made, there will always be the next batch of poorly prepared drugs to rip holes in our communities, taking loved ones from us far too early and in a preventable way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Drummond. Mr. Speaker, Roger Dubois is one of those people whose life has meaning through his efforts to make the world a better place. Mr. Dubois has been successful in business. He started from almost nothing and made his company, Canamex, very successful here and outside of Canada. But it's also very much for his philanthropic legacy that he'll leave his mark. His immense generosity is legendary. Drummond's foundations and community organizations can confirm this. Mr. Dubois is also passionate about classical music. He is a renowned patron of the arts and has sponsored many musicians and international careers. Roger Dubois' value is not measured in dollars, but on the positive impact he's had on our community. He is the caliber of those who are depicted in statues. He has just been awarded the highest civil distinction in this country, and this is more than deserved. Mr. Dubois, all of Drummond County is proud of you, proud and grateful. Thank you.
Member for Portage Lisgar.
Mr. Speaker, last week I had a Zoom meeting with independent travel advisors from Manitoba. As I looked at my screen, I saw the beautiful faces of 20 mostly female entrepreneurs who have worked hard, served their communities and their clients, but are now suffering and are very worried because of the impacts of COVID. They shared heartbreaking stories of having their commissions, already paid to them prior to COVID, now being clawed back by some in the airline industry. In some cases, commission was taken directly from their bank accounts without their consent. This is unfair and unjust. That's why we're asking the government that if they're going to help bail out the airlines, that help should include independent travel advisors. These women run small businesses across Canada, which we know is the backbone of our economy, but they also represent the spirit of a Canadian woman, hardworking, tenacious, and providing for their families by serving others. These women deserve more than being left behind to flail in the wind. Let's help them out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Toronto Danforth.
Happy Hanukkah, Mr. Speaker. It's a festival of lights, and after the year that we've had, we could all use more light. When I'm lighting my candles tonight, I'm going to be thinking of some of the hope and light that I have from amazing community volunteers and all of the wonderful work that they do. One such volunteer is Stephen Bates, who spent 2 months in Eswatini with Women Farmers Foundation, helping women farmers move from being gardeners to commercial farming. And his work has helped to push forward with gender equality. I want to thank him for his work. And I'm also going to think today on the 5-year anniversary of 73,000 Syrian refugees resettling to Canada, the work of the Ripple Refugee Project that has helped to support 20 refugees coming to our country and everything that they did to help the community reach out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oral questions. Questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, months after Canadian citizens were taken hostage by the communist regime in China, we learned that the Liberals fought hard to keep a close relationship with China. In fact, the Deputy Prime Minister fought for Canada to train China's military on Canadian soil against the direct advice of the Chief of Defense Staff. With our citizens in jail, our exports banned, and with China committing human rights abuses around the world, why did the Deputy Prime Minister push hard to partner with them?
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Today marks 2 years since Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor were arbitrarily detained in China. These years have been stolen from Mr. Kovrig and Mr. Spavor, from their families and loved ones. I know that all Canadians admire the integrity and strength of character these two men have shown, and I would also like to pay tribute to their families. The release of these two brave Canadians is an absolute priority for our government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the Deputy Prime Minister. All Canadians are worried about the fate of Mr. Kovrig and Mr. Spavor. Those 2 years were stolen. So my question for the Deputy Prime Minister, while they were stealing the lives of our citizens, why was she trying to push the Canadian Armed Forces to train the Chinese military on our soil when they're abusing our citizens, our rights, international law? Why was this government trying to partner with them?
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I have long personal experience reporting on authoritarian communist regimes, and I am very aware of the threats they pose. When it comes to China, Canada is appalled by the treatment of the Uyghurs. We stand with the people of Hong Kong, especially the Canadian citizens there, and the release of Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig is an absolute priority for our government.
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the minister's actions never match those fine words. That's the problem with this government. The Liberals ignored security and scientific experts on the CanSino vaccine deal. They ignore our allies on Huawei. And now we learn they were ignoring the Chief of Defense Staff when it came to military exercises with China. Defense officials clearly said there was risks of knowledge transfer by working with China. Why does the Deputy Prime Minister think that she knows better than the military about how to maintain our military secrets?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to talk a little bit about CanSino and vaccines, because that's where the Leader of the Opposition began his questions. And let me just say, I understand why the Leader of the official opposition is worked up about vaccines. And that's because he and his party spent weeks trying to scare Canadians into believing we were at the back of the line. Instead, Canada has the most robust vaccine portfolio in the world. Vaccines arrive next week, and the Pfizer vaccine has been approved. The Leader of the official opposition would do better to confront the anti-vax.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
As the Canadian forces and our allies were warning about the protection of military secrets, documents reveal that this government were more worried about upsetting the communist regime in Beijing. Every time we ask about China, they say that national security is a priority, or, as the Deputy Prime Minister just demonstrated, they do not answer the question. So my question is simple, Mr. Speaker. Why did her department try to overrule the Canadian Armed Forces and force them to train the Chinese military on Canadian soil while our citizens were being imprisoned?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear about our government's priority since the moment that Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig were detained. Our clear priority then and now is to secure the release of these two brave Canadians. We stand with them, we stand with their families, and we are going to continue working doggedly until we secure their release.
The Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, today is the second anniversary of the jailing of the two Michaels. This morning we learned that the Deputy Prime Minister put pressure on the Canadian Army to participate in joint exercises with the Chinese Army. It's incredible, Mr. Speaker. The Liberal government has to take this situation seriously and stand up against the Chinese regime. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, our government and I personally, we are taking all authoritarian communist regimes' threat seriously. When it comes to China, our clear priority is that we need to stress today on this sad anniversary is that the two Michaels, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, are two brave Canadians. I commend the efforts of their family, and I'd like to point out today that Canada is working for them, and we will keep doing so. The Honourable Member for La Pointe de l'Île. Mr. Speaker, all of Quebec's living premiers, the National Assembly, the mayors of Quebec's 6 largest cities, all the unions, everyone in Quebec wants the Charter of the French language enforced in federally regulated businesses. Yesterday, the Prime Minister said he wasn't going to do anything. He was going to wait to see Quebec's legislation on language. I just want to clarify, Mr. Speaker, can the Liberals confirm that the federal government will submit to Quebec's legislation? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Thank you for the question. Mr. Speaker, our government is very aware of the fragility of the French language in Quebec and in Montreal. We understand the importance of supporting the French language, and we will continue to do that. The Honourable Member for La Pointe de l'Île. That sounds like someone who doesn't want to do anything. The Bloc has introduced a bill to apply Bill 101 to companies under federal jurisdiction. When we ask the government to support it, the Liberals say they're going to wait for the Quebec legislation. When we ask them if they'll respect that, they refuse to answer. They're just stalling for time. Will the Liberal government take some responsibility and require companies under its jurisdiction to respect Bill 101? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to point out that we're very aware of the situation of French in Quebec and Montreal, and the fragility of the French language in Quebec concerns us all. As our French-speaking province, it's essential to protect French and give it the place it deserves. We care about this issue and we'll be happy to work with all members of the House on this issue.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For decades, Liberal and Conservative governments have cut back on health transfers. And as a result, there's less access for our loved ones to health care. And when the premiers are calling for an increase in health transfers, why is the Prime Minister refusing to boost those transfers to take better care of people? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we have invested heavily in health care, and we will always invest significantly, substantial amounts in health care, be it in Quebec or elsewhere in Canada. Fighting COVID-19 is not just one person's job, it's all of our job. It's a shared responsibility. Today, now is the time to work together. Vaccines are coming next week, and we need to fight together against COVID-19.
Here's what we're learning. More and more reports are coming out that confirm that large companies took public money, laid off their workers, and made massive profits. Yet this Liberal government, this Prime Minister, has no concerns about that. What this Prime Minister is concerned about is going after self-employed workers and artists with clawbacks to CERB that they applied for in good faith. The Prime Minister can fix this problem right now. Will the Prime Minister commit to ending the clawbacks to self-employed workers and artists who applied for the CERB in good faith?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when Canadians needed support the most, the CERB was there, and it supported nearly 9 million Canadians. The CRA has issued letters to some CERB recipients where the agency could not validate income eligibility criteria. The letters do not require immediate payment, Rather, they informed the individual that there may be a requirement to repay amounts received. Mr. Speaker, we have supported Canadians throughout this crisis, and we will continue to do so.
Wellington, Halton Hills. Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, we learned that two departments were at odds over the terms of engagement between the Canadian Army and the People's Liberation Army, with no apparent direction from the Prime Minister. This is a stunning lack of leadership. Government departments working in opposite directions. Canada's diplomats and military working at cross purposes. When will this government develop a clear policy on China? The Honourable Minister of Global Affairs. Mr. Speaker, today is a sad day. It's been 2 years since Michael Kovrig and Michael Spoward were imprisoned in China. 2 years were stolen from them, their families, and their loved ones. Mr. Speaker, I know that here on this side of the House, and I hope on all sides of the House, and even all Canadians, Mr. Speaker, are speaking with a single voice in calling for their immediate release. We will fight with them every step of the way. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, that answer demonstrates why this government's policy on China is such a complete mess. Yes. The Prime Minister took one position on Meng Wanzhou, Ambassador McCallum another. The government was going to make a decision on Huawei before the last election, then they weren't. The government was going to come forward with a new framework on China, then they weren't. Instead, we got an evolving and shifting policy, the opposite of a framework. Enough is enough. When will this government start defending Canadian interests and Canadian values, work with our allies, and come forward with a clear, coherent policy on China?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I'm afraid today is not a day for politics, Mr. Speaker. Today is a sober day that marks 2 years of the arbitrary detention of Michael Kovrig and Michael Spivak. Mr. Speaker, 2 years that have been stolen from these fine gentlemen, 2 years that have been stolen from their families and their loved ones. Mr. Speaker, I know that on this side of the House, and I know that my colleagues on the other side, and indeed all Canadians want to speak with one voice today to ask for the immediate release of Michael Kovrig and Spivak. Mr. Speaker, we will fight with them at every step of the way.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman.
It'd be great, Mr. Speaker, if the minister would actually answer the question. Yesterday, top-secret government documents revealed that this Liberal government was irate when our Chief of Defence Staff stopped Communist Chinese troops from receiving winter warfare training on Canadian soil with our soldiers. Even after acknowledging there were national security concerns raised by our Five Eye partners, the Liberal government said there's still a desire to maintain an ongoing relationship with China. Why is the Prime Minister bowing to the Chinese Communist regime and turning his back on our closest allies?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government will always stand up for Canadians at home and abroad, and this includes our relationship with China. But let me be very clear, we do not train with the Chinese military. But I understand the member's concern, Mr. Speaker, because it was a previous government that actually signed a cooperation plan initiative in 2013 under Rob Nicholson when he was the Minister of National Defence, and that member was a parliamentary secretary of defence at that time. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, the Defence Minister knows full well that the Chinese government back then to the Chinese government today is completely different. And Canadians are shocked and outraged by the Prime Minister cozying up to the regime in Beijing. That's his own, that even the Defence Minister accurately described as being engaged in hostage diplomacy. We already know the Prime Minister naively admires the communist dictatorship and now wants to train Chinese troops at Garrison Petawawa so they can learn tactics that our Five Eye allies warned would cause a dangerous transfer of military knowledge. It is sickening that the Prime Minister has complete disregard for our armed forces, our national security, and our democratic way of life. So the only question is, Mr. Speaker, whose side is...
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, and this is because of the agreement that they had signed, this is one of the reasons why we actually changed our approach, because of the concerns that the member outlined, Mr. Speaker, because we will always stand up for our to Canadians who are arbitrarily detained. This is one of the reasons why we actually stopped our training with the Chinese, Mr. Speaker, and this is exactly what we're doing. And I would ask the member right now to stop turning this into a political issue, because that's exactly the steps that we have taken. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Louis Saint Laurent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In recent months, Canadians have been more than ever aware of the many health needs. But in order to meet those needs, we need appropriate funding. And as we know, healthcare comes under provincial jurisdiction. For the provinces to do a proper job, they need adequate funding. Is the Liberal government prepared to commit to stable, predictable, and unconditional appropriate health care funding? The Honourable Health Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since the start of the pandemic, our government has supported Canadians. The federal government has provided $8 out of $10 to cover COVID-19 related costs. We will continue to work with our partners and do everything that's needed for as long as it's needed until we get through this pandemic. Thank you. The honourable member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the answer in French, but that wasn't the question. The question has to do with stable, predictable, and unconditional health transfers for health care. But when you take seniors' homes, the Prime Minister said, yes, we'd be willing to help with the funding, but here are the strings attached. That's not how it works, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister of this Liberal government is currently meeting with provincial premiers. Is he willing? Does he agree that health funding should be stable, predictable, and with no strings attached? The Honourable Health Minister. Since 2015, our government has made unprecedented investments to support healthcare in Canada. For the next 5 years, the total funding to the provinces and territories for health transfers should reach $235 billion. We will continue to support the provinces and territories. Thank you. The honourable member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, Ottawa is apparently planning to subject Quebec to a carbon tax because Canada is failing to meet its targets under the Paris Agreement. Look, each and every Quebecer, their GHG emissions are 2.5 times lower than a Canadian's. They've got the wrong target, Mr. Speaker. We're at the top of the class. Quebec is already pricing carbon with the carbon exchange we created. Why doesn't the government encourage other provinces to join the carbon exchange instead of trying to teach us lessons? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for her question. Quebec is a leader in combating climate change. They've had a carbon exchange since 2013. And the system, Quebec system, is compliant every year. We are supporting provinces like Quebec, provinces that are taking bold steps to clean up the environment for future generations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member for Repentigny. Well, join with us then. This government bought a pipeline for $17 billion. This government is in a tizzy because the new U.S. president isn't keen on Keystone XL. This government took advantage of the pandemic to authorize 100 oil drillings without environmental assessment. And after all that, this government is surprised that greenhouse gas emissions aren't going down? Seriously, does this government think it's in a position to lecture Quebec? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of the Environment. Mr. Speaker, Canadians expect the government to take action on climate change while boosting economic growth at the same time. As part of our plan to bounce back better from the pandemic, we will be providing subsidies of up to $5,000 for Canadians to do energy retrofits of their homes. And our solutions will be based on science, and we will be printing 2 billion trees for our children and for future generations. Thank you. The honourable member for Avignon. Mr. Speaker, despite all the rhetoric, the federal government doesn't even have a plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. They've tabled a bill that claims to aim for net zero emissions, but they still haven't set a target for 2030. Then when they do, they're giving themselves the power to change that target if they want, if they're failing to meet it. There's no accountability. Quebec has a plan. It also has a carbon exchange. Why is the minister changing his mind today and wanting to impose a carbon tax on Quebec too, which will encroach on Quebec's jurisdiction? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire,
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary is on mute. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Here are the facts. We are taking solid steps to improve accountability for this and future governments. My colleague must be aware that the architectural structure of the Paris Agreement, based on 2030, just like BC's plan and Quebec's plan, and in other countries in the world, we're all doing the same thing. And the 5 years of progress will assess whether we're on the right track. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Conservatives weren't warned that the original wage subsidy could potentially be used by corporate profiteers to pay out dividends to their shareholders. The government dismissed our concerns, and what happened? 68 of those companies did exactly what we originally warned. Meanwhile, the government goes after tiny micro businesses who thought they were eligible for the CERB based on their gross income. Now the government says, no, we meant net. Why is it the government is picking the pockets of the little guy in order to pad the pockets of the fat cat?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to speak for a moment about the wage subsidy. This subsidy, which was supported unanimously by all members of this House, has supported more than 3.9 million Canadian jobs. And let me be clear, the wage subsidy can only be claimed for employee remuneration. It cannot be used for any other purposes. This is a support measure which is keeping Canadians on the job, keeping Canadians at work, and I'm pleased all members of this House supported it.
Member for Carleton.
Well, all the money goes into the same account. So what the business actually uses it for is impossible to say. 68 companies took money they would have used for wages, and instead of paying workers more, keeping them on, they laid them off and effectively used the tax dollars Canadians provided them to pay it out to wealthy shareholders, just as we warned would happen. Other countries brought in controls to protect taxpayers from this kind of abuse. Why didn't this government do the same?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, let me again remind all members of this House that the wage subsidy is supporting more than 3.9 million Canadians to keep their jobs. That is essential. The wage subsidy does include an accountability requirement in the legislation. An officer in the company must attest to the accuracy of the company's claims when claiming this subsidy. Now, I know that Canadian business people are honest and responsible, and that the vast majority of them play by the rules. But let me be clear in this House today. We mean it. The rules are there, and they will be enforced.
For Carleton.
Well, she claims to believe businesses are honest, but this is the same government that was calling small businesses tax cheats not so long ago. And when recently the minister said she wanted to, quote, unlock the savings of Canadians, including small businesses, for a preloaded stimulus, it brought back an awful lot of memories of when the government attempted to impose a 73% tax on the savings of small business people. This is the same party that has threatened to tax the capital gains on primary residence. Will this minister, yes or no, rule out taxes on capital gains of principal residences, reintroducing the previous small business taxes, or any other tax increase?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
You know, Mr. Speaker, I think we have all seen that the Conservatives have in recent days been descending into some dark and indeed dystopian conspiracy theories. And I think I understand why. The problem is the Conservatives themselves can't figure out what they stand for. Do they believe in science, or do they believe in anti-vaxxers? Do they believe in supporting Canadians and Canadian business, or do they believe in austerity? Do they believe in free trade, or do they believe in protectionism? Mr. Speaker, what the Conservatives need to do is figure out what they stand for and let us know once they've...
The honourable member for Winnipeg Centre. Order.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday my motion calling on this government to make greater investments into housing shelterless individuals passed with unanimous consent. In the last 2 months, 4 cases of trench fever have been diagnosed in Winnipeg Centre, a disease not seen in Canada for almost 100 years. It is a result of extreme poverty. Our community is facing another public health crisis, and we need help now. Will this government commit to making investments now so people in Winnipeg can have their basic human rights to health and housing met?
The honourable minister.
Speaker, I want to join the honourable member in recognizing the urgency of the situation. We are making the necessary investments, and we are committing to future investments. In the fall economic statement, you saw almost $300 million additional dollars for the federal Reaching Home program, which tackles head-on issues around homelessness and funds 62 communities who are on the front lines in the fight against homelessness. Early during the pandemic, we funded an additional $157 million in Reaching Home dollars, $50 million more for women's shelters, $237 million.
The honourable member for Courtenay Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, Dave owns Wayward Distillery in my riding. He and his employees produced hand sanitizer for local police, healthcare workers, and community organizations. He gave away tens of thousands of dollars of sanitizer for free and sold some at cost. So even though his profit went down, his revenue shows as up. And the government says he doesn't qualify for any emergency support programs. Why did the Liberals abandon Canadian heroes and give big orders to multinational corporations instead of purchasing from small Canadian businesses like Dave's?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you for the question. And Mr. Speaker, I would be pleased to be in touch with the office of the Honourable Member and learn more about the particular situation of that business. We do have a wide range of programs in place to support Canadian businesses: the wage subsidy, rent support, additional lockdown support, CEBA, including the new CEBA top-up that became available last Friday, and the RDAs are there to fill in the gaps for businesses that, for unique reasons, just don't quite qualify. So I would be happy to work with the honourable member about this business.
Member for Miramichi, Grand Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to say that with the help from the federal government, ExploreNet is now able to offer their customers in New Brunswick high-speed internet. This includes customers from Blackville, Baie-Sainte-Anne, Acadieville, and St. Margaret's in my riding. I know that the government has created a network of resources, including universal broadband funds, that will benefit communities like ours in getting connected to this essential service. Can the minister tell the House what else New Brunswickers can expect when it comes to future of connectivity? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Rural Economic Development.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank my honorable colleague from Miramichi for working so hard to get his community connected to high-speed internet. Because of his hard work and hard work of members like him, by the end of this month, 2,973 households in New Brunswick will be connected to this essential service. In the next 2 years, another 83,000 will have high-speed connectivity. I urge my colleagues across the aisle to stop spreading misinformation about the program. It's discouraging their communities from applying. Our government will work with all partners to get every Canadian connected.
Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to just take a moment on behalf of all parliamentarians and thank the doctors, nurses, long-term care workers, lab technicians that have been working overtime, putting their lives and their families at risk throughout the pandemic this year to keep Canadians healthy and safe. We all have an obligation to support their work across partisan lines. So ahead of the First Minister's meeting this week, will the government commit to increased, stable, predictable, and most importantly, unconditional funding for healthcare for the provinces?
Honourable Minister of Health.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to echo the member opposite's thanks to healthcare workers across the country, including all of those that she mentioned, and pharmacists and personal support workers that are working in the community. We know that they're bearing the burden for all of us, and one of the best ways, Mr. Speaker, that we can help them is to contain the spread of COVID-19. So I encourage all Canadians to continue, even though it's difficult, to take the measures as prescribed to reduce the spread of COVID-19 and support these hardworking healthcare workers so they too can get a rest in the near future.
Well, member for Calgary Nose Hill.
But that's not the answer that we're looking for. It's very simple here. I think, Mr. Speaker, that the Liberals need to figure out what they believe in. Do they believe in the We Charity scandal and giving money to their insider friends, or do they believe in giving money to long-term care workers? Do they believe in Aga Khan Island, or do they believe in increasing funding for doctors and nurses? Do they believe in SNC-Lavalin, or do they believe in stable, predictable, unconditional funding for increased healthcare transfer payments to the provinces?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure what the member opposite believes in, but here's what this government has believed in all the way, and that's supporting Canadians through the pandemic. Yes, we believe in healthcare, and that's why we transferred $24 billion, Mr. Speaker, through COVID-19 Safe Restart funds to provinces and territories so they could augment testing and contact tracing and data so that they could support workers with wage top-ups and long-term care. We also, Mr. Speaker, created a rapid response program to send in people like hard-working people through the Canadian Red Cross, Mr. Speaker, sent the military in to support long-term care homes when they couldn't manage, Mr. Speaker. Every step of the way, we've been there for Canadians, and we'll continue to do so.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lobinière. Mr. Speaker, to respond to the appeal of the Prime Minister in the spring, Canadian distilleries invested massively to manufacture disinfectant to counter the pandemic. And we've learned that during that time, the Liberal government has been granting contracts to foreign companies to make disinfectant with no consideration for Canadian businesses right here at home. Mr. Speaker, how can the Prime Minister explain that?
The Honourable Minister of Public Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the honourable colleague for that excellent question. But I want to say that since the beginning of this pandemic, what this government has done is to support businesses across this country who have stepped up and gone above and beyond to support the effort against COVID-19. Roughly 1,000 companies, Mr. Speaker, pivoted to produce PPE in the fight against COVID-19. Companies like Fluid Technologies in Edmonton, Mr. Speaker, making hand sanitizer for all of Canada. We are immensely proud of how Canadian industry stepped up, and we continue to support Canadians through their efforts. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lobinière. Mr. Speaker, it's a total of $570 million that this government has spent abroad, including $252 million for Chinese disinfectant. No contract has been given to our Canadian distilleries right here at home, including one in my riding, S-Mart, which invested $150,000 in the effort to fight COVID-19. Mr. Speaker, when there's a chance to buy Canadian, why doesn't the Liberal government do so? It's another scandal. The Honourable Minister of Public Services. Once again, Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank my honourable colleague for this excellent question, but that's not the case, absolutely not the case, Mr. Speaker. We have a contract with Fluid Energy Corp.
Now, $106 million, Mr. Speaker, and Fluid Energy has provided that hand sanitizer. So right here in Canada, hand sanitizer produced in this country while we support businesses right across this country for the benefit of Canadians. Always. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. Mr. Speaker, this government is once again working against Quebec when it comes to shipbuilding. It's sidelining the Davie shipyards from a $2 billion icebreaker contract to give it to Seaspan in Vancouver. But that contract is one that Seaspan already had, and for 6 years, nothing was done. And in fact, the federal government had to withdraw the contract from it after 2019. I'm not kidding, Mr. Speaker. The government is prepared to give this contract back to a shipyard that had already failed instead of giving it to Quebec. How can these liberal Quebecers stand idly by? The Honourable Minister of Public Services.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to say this has been a wonderful week for Canadians. We are going to have vaccines in this country on Monday. Pfizer has been approved. Pfizer has committed to vaccine deliveries, and all Canadians can be so proud. Au sujet de la question...
Concerning the question, Mr. Speaker, we have not yet made a decision on the icebreaker. This is an ongoing process, and we will consider all options. Now, Davie Shipyard is a very strong and viable partner, and we work with Davie Shipyard. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. Mr. Speaker, 3%. 3%, that's the share of the contracts that Quebec received under the Liberal leadership. And Quebec is the province that pays the second largest amount of taxes. It has the largest shipyard in Canada, and it can't even receive more than 3% of federal contracts. We're being robbed of a contract by a shipyard that has already proved that it was not able to fulfill the contract. Now, that's 2,500 jobs in Lévis, Quebec alone. Now, will my Liberal colleagues from Quebec, will they stand with me on this matter? The Honourable Minister of Public Services. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is not the case, not the case at all. We have granted over 14% of these contracts to the tune of over $2 billion to Quebec businesses. And also, with regard to these icebreakers, we have not yet made a decision. As I have already said, Davie Shipyard is a strong and important partner with our government, and we are working with this shipyard. Thank you.
Abbotsford. Well, Uyghurs, Tibetans, Christians, Falun Gong, even the residents of Hong Kong face persecution in China. The Washington Post reports that Huawei has tested face recognition software that could be used by China's regime to spy on its minorities and report them to police. Now the same company wants to build out Canada's 5G network, raising fears that its technology will be used to spy on us and undermine our national security. To the Prime Minister, when will he finally say no to Huawei?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Economic Development, or Industry and Science, rather.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and our government continues to protect our networks. We're going to ensure that Canada benefits from the latest technology and the latest innovations in telecom, and a review of 5G technology and associated economic and security issues is ongoing. Our experts will be advising us all the way. Our allies will be advising us all the way. And let's be clear, the security of Canadians will never be compromised.
Honourable Member for Calgary Forest Lawn.
With many small businesses going digital due to the pandemic, there is an incredible amount of data points, such as passwords, emails, and sensitive personal information. This government knows terrorist organizations, cyber criminals, and foreign threat actors such as China are carrying out massive cyber attacks against our government and Canadians. These attacks have a negative impact on our economy, our national security, and the lives of Canadians. Why is this government's response to cyber attacks and China so naive?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Well, first of all, Mr. Speaker, let me tell you how seriously we take this. And in fact, I'll just remind this House that just last week we brought forward in the mains vote $20.9 million in funding for the RCMP, enhancements to the RCMP federal cybercrime enforcement. This is a good opportunity, Mr. Speaker, for me to thank the members of the Bloc and the NDP who joined us in voting for this essential investment.
The Honourable Member for Provencher.
Mr. Speaker, the Chinese state-owned Shandong Mining Company is trying to acquire TMAC resources in Nunavut. Like the Russians, the Chinese Communist Party is actively positioning itself for military and economic dominance in the Arctic. That's why security experts like retired Major General David Fraser have strongly urged this government not to allow this deal to go through. Can the Minister of Public Safety assure Canadians that the government will not give up any further ground to the Chinese Communist Party in Canada's Arctic?
Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Let me assure the member opposite and this House that we will always remain ever vigilant in ensuring that we protect the interests of Canadians and in particular our sovereignty in the North. We rely on the advice and the information we receive from the national security intelligence community in making these decisions, and we will always stand up for Canadian interests.
The Honourable Member for Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, in 2015, the conflict in Syria was in full force and on display to the world. We all remember the heartbreaking images and stories of the families affected that moved people around the globe, including Canadians. It's now been 5 years since Canadians stepped up in overwhelming numbers to sponsor Syrian refugees, and the first of the refugees began to arrive in Canada. Can the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship update the House on Operation Syrian Refugees?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, I want to thank the honourable member for her advocacy and for her hard work. 5 years ago, Canadians began an ambitious and national effort to welcome some of the world's most vulnerable as they fled the conflict in Syria. Some said it couldn't be done, but the outpouring of compassion as communities across the country opened their doors and their hearts led to 73,000 people making Canada their new home, including the 29 that I just welcomed into the family of Canadian citizenship earlier today. We now lead the world in welcoming refugees because we know when Canadians succeed, everyone succeeds. I'd like to thank Canadians for their efforts and wish every success to all who have found a new home in Canada. Merci.
The Honourable Member for West Nova.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For months, Canadians who work and depend on the aviation sector have been calling on the Liberal government for a concrete action plan. After suspending service between Sydney and Halifax earlier this fall, all flights to Sydney have now been cancelled indefinitely, leaving many Cape Bretoners without air service for the foreseeable future. As a result of this suspension, airport employees, rotational workers, university students, and many others will be greatly impacted. 10 months into this pandemic, will this government finally act and present its plan for the aviation sector?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And we recognize that many have been impacted severely by COVID, particularly in the air sector. And we regret the fact that routes have been abandoned. And that is why we are working on solutions to this. As you know, in the fall economic statement, we announced more than $1 billion in aid to airports and also regional airlines. And we are also working on negotiations with the major airlines to find solutions that will ensure regional support of airlines to communities that need it.
Honourable Member for Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Young Subway extension is critical for job creation, economic recovery, and growth, yet this government refuses to invest. The Prime Minister said he wants to invest, but he's waiting for the Ontario government. But the Ontario government has provided everything he's asked for and committed the funds to get this project built. It's Ontario who is waiting for this government. No more excuses, no more delays. Why won't the Prime Minister just say yes to the Young Subway extension?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, once again, we have the same question, and the answer will be the same. We continue to invest in public transit, historic amounts in public transit. In fact, 13 times more than the previous government, who invested only $1 billion. We've invested $13 billion, and we continue to move forward. We are looking forward to receiving from the Ontario government business plans for public transit projects, including the project in the members' riding. We need to create jobs. We need to go ahead, but we also need to be mindful of taxpayer dollars, and that's exactly what we're going to do as we rebuild our economy, create jobs, and build a more sustainable future for Canadians.
Honourable Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
Mr. Speaker, I've heard the Finance Minister's responses today. Let me be clear. We support the wage subsidy and we fought to increase it. But what's also clear is the program is being terribly managed. 68 companies who are able to pay large dividends to shareholders while collecting the subsidy. And this government is bad at managing programs and money. They're either giving it away to large corporations like this or to friends and insiders. Mr. Speaker, when will this government stop acting like Santa Claus by giving to rich companies and their friends and fix the wage subsidy?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the wage subsidy was supported by all members of this House, and for a very good reason. This program has been essential in keeping Canadians on the job, in keeping Canadian companies going through COVID. 3.9 million Canadian jobs have been supported by this program. And Mr. Speaker, as we approach Christmas, that's something all of us should be proud to have been a part of. Now, Mr. Speaker, this program does come with serious accountability measures, and our government fully expects all companies who avail themselves of this program to follow the rules.
Honourable Member for Chateauguay-Lacole.
Mr. Speaker, Bill C-7, which amends the medical assistance in dying framework in Canada, is the result of a detailed consultation process in which over 300,000 Canadians participated, including health professionals, persons with disabilities, and caregivers. And the deadline set by the courts to adopt this bill is rapidly approaching. Can the Minister explain to us why it is so important to respect the deadline set by the court for all Canadians? The Honourable Minister of Justice. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for Chateauguay-Lacole for her question and also for her great wisdom. Mr. Speaker, we must respect the deadline of the courts so that we do not prolong the needless suffering of Canadians. Canadians like Audrey Parker, who chose to move up the date of her death so that she could be sure of having the choice. Or Jean Truchon, who had the courage to fight right up until the end, just before he left us. Mr. Speaker, I am Minister of Justice, but I am first and foremost a member from Quebec. Respecting Quebec is also respecting the will of its courts. I'd like to thank all members to help C7 to progress so that we can respect the deadline of the courts. It's our duty, Mr. Speaker, for Ms. Parker, for Mr. Truchot, and all Canadians who are suffering needlessly.
Member for North Island, Powell River.
Mr. Speaker, 2 years ago, when veteran Sean Brewery stood up for himself and others in similar situations, the former Veterans Minister berated him in the media. The very next day, the government took away the benefit that he needs to care for his children so that he can get the help he needs for his PTSD. Finally, today, after years of fighting, Mr. Brewery's benefit is to be reinstated. Why does this government continue to spend taxpayer money on fighting veterans in court instead of serving them?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate my honourable colleague's question. And of course, decisions on veterans' files are made by our professional, non-partisan public servants, always with the intent to care and compassion and respect for veterans. Mr. Speaker, this government has continued to invest in veterans, and we will continue to invest in veterans because they are the ones that provide our freedom and democracy, and we are fully aware of that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Fredericton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 2020 turned out to be a year that no one could have imagined, and the government was able to respond quickly to enact programs to help Canadians cope during the pandemic. We saw support for workers who lost their employment, youth and students who lost summer income opportunities, parents, predominantly women, who had to make the difficult decision to stay at home with children, forced into double duty or forced to leave their jobs. What that effectively means is that millions of people received something like a basic income for the first time in their lives this year. And yet, so many people are still falling through the cracks. Mr. Speaker, will this government, in the spirit of the holiday, offer the life-changing gift of compassion to Canadians and finally, a guaranteed livable income for all?
The Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much for that question. I agree that working together, all members of this House have provided unprecedented support to Canadians, to Canadian businesses, and to the Canadian economy as we have faced together this unprecedented crisis. Now is the moment for us, as we face a very, very virulent second wave, including in New Brunswick, to focus on the crisis at hand, to focus on supporting Canadians as they fight the coronavirus, to focus on beating the coronavirus, and to focus on deploying vaccines. And that is where our government is focused, and I hope that's work we can all do together. Thank you.
This will conclude question period for today. The chair has notice of 2 points of order. We'll go to the first one. The honourable member for Windsor West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And there has been discussions with other parties, and I believe you will find unanimous support and agreement with the following motion: that notwithstanding any standing order or usual practice of the House, Bill C-13, an act to amend the Criminal Code, be deemed read a second time and referred to a committee of the whole, deemed considered in the committee of the whole, deemed reported without amendment, deemed concurred at report stage, and deemed read a third time as passed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
As members will be familiar, this is where we ask only for those who are opposed to express their disagreement. Accordingly, I ask all those opposed to the honourable member for Windsor West moving the motion, please say nay. No? No. There is no unanimous